Alright, so we're going to start doing equivalent equations. This is page 4 of your Algebra 1 notebook. Our essential question is, how do you know when equations or expressions are equivalent, and what are the steps to solve an equation? So make sure that you pause this video to take a moment to get your notes and everything set up. Alright, example 1 says one moving company charges $760 plus $20 per hour. Another moving company charges $820 plus $14 per hour. For how many hours do the companies charge the same amount? And then we'll figure out the charge. So here on the sides you'll notice a couple guiding questions or steps that I have written out for us. So first we want to figure out, what is our unknown? Our unknown is the hourly rate, or excuse me, the number of hours worked. We know the hourly rate, that's the 20 per hour and the 14 per hour. So we want to know hours. So maybe H will be our variable for our unknown. So then we're going to go into writing an expression for the first moving company that I'm going to call moving company A, and then the next moving company, which I'm going to call moving company B. So for moving company A, it's $760 plus $20 per hour. Remember, when you hear those words, per or each, it usually means multiplication, so per hour. So 20H. An expression for moving company B, $820 plus $14 per hour. So now we want to write the equation. So it's important to realize, does the problem tell us how these expressions interact? Well, right here when it says how do the companies, or how many hours do the companies charge the same, it wants us to figure out when these two expressions are the same. So when we hear the same in math, we want to think equal. So our equation is going to be 760 plus 20H is equal to 820 plus 14H. And now my next step is solve. So when we're solving, we're often going to use the did Casey go surfing solving steps. So the first one is distribute, which we have no distributive property here on either side, so we don't have to do that. And the next one is combine like terms. There are no like terms here, and there are no like terms here. So when you're combining like terms, it's only on each side of the equal sign. So this is a constant, and this is a variable expression, so those are not like terms. So we can also bypass that step. Next is get the variable to one side, because you'll notice I have 20H here and 14H here. I'm going to move the smaller one. And so to get rid of 14H on the right side, I'm going to subtract 14H on both sides. Because positive 14 minus 14 is 0. And as long as we do something to both sides of an equation, we're allowed to do it in math. We just have to keep both sides balanced. Alright, so now we're going to have 760 plus 6H equals 820, because that resulted in 0. Alright, now this last step is solve. So usually that's adding, subtracting, and then multiplying or dividing. So here's my variable, and so we want to focus on that and isolate it. So first I have to subtract the constant. I subtract it because it's positive. And so now I've got 6H equals 820 minus 760. And that's going to give us 60. Then we're going to divide by 6 on both sides, because 6 times H, so I want to get rid of the multiplication, so I do the opposite, which is dividing. and I'm going to get H equals 10. So now, very important step that gets sort of looked over often in math, and we're really going to be stressing this for this whole course, is explain your answer. What does it mean? So just saying H is 10 or whatever is not enough. So let's go back to that question. It says, for how many hours do the companies charge the same, and what is the charge? So we never even calculated this. So that's why it's really important to go back and read the question and make sense of it. Both, so we're going to write both moving companies. So I want full sentences in these explanations. So everything I have on my paper, you should also have. Charge, we're going to leave a blank, amount for 10 hours of work. So what is that amount? So if the 10 is what we got when these expressions were set equal, it doesn't matter which one we plug into to figure out how much that charge is. So let's just go ahead and plug into this first one. So we can do 760 plus 20 times 10, because we're replacing H with 10. So that's 760 plus 200, and that's going to be $960. And I would also get 960 if I plugged in here, so it doesn't matter which one I would have picked. So both moving companies charge $960 for, that amount doesn't make sense, for 10 hours of work. So definitely pause this video and go back and watch parts that maybe were moved too quickly or were confusing, because this is a really great problem to get yourself settled for this lesson.